After working for almost a year on finding information on the Lost Dragon Age theme park ride, I rested my laurels on knowing that I had at least found part of the ride and that it would likely be sold for parts never to be seen again. It took me about 2 weeks to finish editing the video and was finally uploaded to YouTube on March 5th, 2021. While even now, 2 years later, it's actually just sitting on a very small amount of views comparatively, it's probably the video that means the most to me and really represents what I think this channel is about. But unknown to me, 14 days after my video was released, a small theme park in the UK tweeted out about a new ride they were installing called The Guardian. Welcome patrons. This video is over a year late, but just a lot has happened in the background on my end, so I've been putting it off for 2 years, But yeah, do you remember the video I made about searching for the Lost Dragon Age theme park ride? Well, I have a new part to the story. Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island, located in Skegness. I did not actually look up how to pronounce this before sitting down to record, and I'm not going to fix that. Anyway, in the UK is a small theme park on the east coast of England. Now, I'm obviously not from the UK, so forgive me if I'm representing this place, but everything I have read about the area tells me that it has a reputation of being a bit of a shithole. The Kirkwall of vacation locations, if you will. Now, from reviews on Google, Fantasy Island seems like a decent place, however, and the price to get in, even after years of inflation constantly rising, and also needing to pay to get on the ride again, it is actually cheaper than Hub Zero ever was. So that's kind of funny to me. Now, as a side note, I don't know how well known this stereotype is outside of YouTube creators, but in general, after years of watching and creating on this website, I have found one stereotype of YouTubers to be true. If there is a niche topic to talk about and make videos on, there is already a British man doing it. So after the tweet about the mysterious Guardian, a decent handful of British YouTubers and bloggers who talk about not only British theme parks, but very specifically Fantasy Island, began to speculate on what this new ride could be. Some even poked around the new construction area in the park to try and find clues. However, it would take a year for the ride to open in full, and on March 26, 2022, The Guardian was open to the public, with YouTubers invited by Fantasy Island themselves to come and try the ride and review. The part where I come in. Now, meanwhile, I had mostly forgotten about the ride. I had moved cross-country only a few months before and was still settling into the new area, and I had just put down my daughter for a nap when I checked Reddit. Yeah, I actually still check that. I have not responded to anything in a while. We're going to move on. On May 15, 2022, about 2 months after the grand opening of The Guardian, I got this comment on my old post looking for the Hub Zero ride in Dubai. Now, frankly, after all that work I had to put in to find what I did, which really wasn't that much, the next few hours were frankly mind-blowing. I had a quick chat with the person who seemed to operate the ride, a ton of videos of people detailing the experience of the ride, and even was able to contact some of the theme park YouTubers to confirm that, yeah, the new version of the ride used the same Dragon Age M-Ride movie. It is also hilarious to me that in 2 months that this ride was open to the public, there were more than double the amount of content from what I found from when it was on Dubai. British man doing YouTube videos every time. It does not fail. So while Fantasy Island never responded to my emails, the small chat with the ride operator made me believe that even if they had lost the Before Ride movie, I don't think they would be able to share it legally. So while we don't have too much that's actually new, let's talk about the ride as it is today before EA's lawyers get too much of a whiff on this one. The Guardian. So you may be asking how much Dragon Age actually survived the move, and the answer is actually, a lot. More than I thought would. Now, from what I can tell, the only difference between the Hub Zero experience is the movement of the ride, the quality of the screen, a different Before Ride movie, and the layout of the line area. It's shockingly very similar. Much like the last video, let's start by talking about the line decor. Now, you may remember from my last video, I mentioned that there were a lot of game props made real and decorated the line, and then promptly never showed that. Well, kind of behind the scenes on my end, there used to be a video showing the Hub Zero line that was published by Hub Zero themselves, and then I just forgot to download it somehow, and they deleted their YouTube, and I lost it. It just is gone. So I wasn't able to scrape it for my video. So while you do see the shortened line queue in what I published, a longer version actually wound around the back and had a ton more things to see. But again, I lost the video, I couldn't show it to you guys, and now it's just lost of time. However, it seems that Fantasy Island bought like all of the props and made an even better line queue to go along with it. Now, here is also where I would like to give an amazing shout out to my friend and spy for the video, the ironically named Felasan. Oh, hold on. Suggested edits. My friend Fel, who is very handsome and smart. Indeed, they are the world's most interesting man. Okay. Now, Fel runs probably the best Tumblr to follow for Dragon Age news, and also has a passion for archiving Dragon Age media. Now, after the work with Dan on archiving The Last Court, which you should remember that, because that's ironically in the other video as well, we struck up a friendship. Now, when I got the news about the ride being alive, Fel up and fucking said, I'm on it, grabbed their camera, and took the next flight to Fantasy Island. Pretty much all of the footage and images I'm about to show you is from Fel or promotional images I was able to find, so everyone go give them a big hug and say thank you, because there is one video a bit later on that is just amazing. The most obvious prop that was brought back from Dubai is the good old giant dragon, who you may notice is different. Now, I'm assuming for copyright reasons they just chipped off her horns? I don't believe they were damaged in the shipping, as I was able to find an image from before the ride was open that actually have her horns intact, maybe like a chip on the end, but not as bad as it was. And in the early promotional images from Twitter, she has her horns. So, while I understand the need to change it for copyright reasons, it is honestly such a shame to damage the prop, even more so because it just looks awkward. Now, the outside of the ride itself is, again, made to look like a castle, although I kind of have to admit I actually think they did a better job than Hub-Zero did. Now, there are some new props in the area, like this baby tiny dragon, which I don't think has anything to do with my amusement at how small Alexia was in the ride of the video, but I just really want to believe this is her. There's also this really shitty wizard dude, and it's my bad fan fiction became reality, and I am just in love with this. But yeah, dotted around you can see Ferelden banners, Templar banners, Circle banners, Inquisition banners, Warden shield, and even a few Inquisitor helmets, which I was told was screwed down and could not be taken, but close enough that you could touch it. Now, after winding through the props, much like last time, you are taken into a room in groups of 4 to await your turn and to watch an intro to the ride. Now, while sadly this is the only part of the ride that is brand new and the only part we never found the original of, I have to say you are, not prepared for what you were about to watch. I was told by Fel that they were allowed to film the pre-ride movie, so we are blessed to have a decent capture of it. The intro is a bit long, so we're just gonna kind of talk over it a bit here, but it's just a really great slideshow of any fantasy-related stock image they could find. Also note that you can hear the sound of the ride in the background as well.
Welcome, my friends, to the gates of our kingdom and the start of your adventure. I know your journey has been a long and arduous climb to get here, but we are grateful that you are the ones who stepped forward to help us in our quest. I should probably start at the beginning. My name is King Athelstwyn, and I am the ruler of Elvia. East is left. You see, 6 months ago our world was invaded by giant demons and creatures from another dimension, which now plunder our lands and continue to destroy our kingdom piece by piece. They came through a time rift from another world, leaving much destruction. Ever since they came, our people have defended as best they are able. But we were once a peaceful race, and sadly no match for the giant demons and dragons. Luckily, a few days ago, help arrived. They came through the rift, human in form but with incredible powers, and the ability to not only fly, but transform into dragon-like creatures. That's where you will come in. You see, not only have they brought hope to our lands, but also gifted us with technology, the likes of which we have never seen before. This communication device, for example, it enables us to talk to each other from great distances without being in the same room. There is something else, and the reason why you are here. They provided us with plans to create our own machine, which as we speak is being prepared for your mission. I should explain. The machine, although made of metal and advanced technologies, can't even begin to understand, requires biological matter to function. A very specific amount of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and calcium. All of which you are made from, my friends. Once you are connected to the machine, you will be lifted into the portal and instantly dropped into the outer world. Be able to fight alongside the Guardians and help close the rift once and for all. Won't lie. The mission will be dangerous, but with your help, we can defeat the giant demons, close the rift, save the kingdom. Do not be afraid. This is Maya, one of the Dragon Guardians. She will help you on your quest and guide you to the rift. There it will be up to you to find a way to close it. My friends, it is almost time for you to enter the machine and become the Guardians. So we should save Germany. Save Alvia. Become the heroes you're destined to be. The gates will open momentarily as soon as the machine is ready for you. Good luck, my friends, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, of course they would have to scrub all the Dragon Age out, but oh my god, what the fuck is going on? The ride runs on your flesh. I have no words. When I saw this, my jaw dropped. It was so fucking goofy. It's so good. While I really want to know what the original pre-ride movie was, and that will always be my white whale. This, quite frankly, might be better, and I am left with more questions than answers, and I love it to pieces. Now, like I mentioned previously, they kept the same in-ride movie. This, honestly, is just such a weird choice because you can actually change it out. When I was doing research for my previous video, good old SimWorks had a bunch of preview pages for other movies that you could buy for the ride, some even fitting with like this fantasy theme that they're going for here. As of writing this, I don't know if Fantasy Island has contacted EA's legal department to see what's cool to use and what isn't, or if they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants here. In more recent accounts of the ride, the in-ride movie seems to be the exact same, but I don't know how much longer it has to be up before EA gets a whiff and shakes their finger and goes, no, this isn't good. Now, that being said, it seems that Fantasy Island has some trouble setting it up. Now, there are a ton of complaints online that the in-ride movie is actually really blurry, which, as it's being projected, would mean that the screen just isn't set up properly. I was also able to briefly talk to one of the previously mentioned theme park YouTubers, Lift Hills and Thrills, who watched the SimWorks video that I had and confirmed that some of the movements of the ride had changed, as it no longer flips the riders upside down. There was another video I saw, I cannot remember if it was him or another one, because there's like a good amount of people talking about this online right now. Right now, a couple months ago, years. Anyway, but they seem to have thought that the ride doesn't go upside down because the room that they put the ride in is too small, which would also make sense with the blurry screen. So I think they forced the ride into an area that's a little bit smaller than it really should be. But let's talk about the movie in general. Now, if you remember from last time, the version that I was able to find was an early render. What I didn't know was that I was actually using Scratch Audio as well.
Ah, there you are. Hurry now, follow us. The rift is this way, but beware of the ice-born archers. Quickly, into the clouds. Look out! The flight patrol makes it.
time for you to return home as heroes.
Without the demons to control them, the Darkspawn are in full retreat.
You have saved the kingdom. The people are forever in your debt. Until we meet again.
The content is mostly the same, so I'm not going to ramble on about the video, but I think we actually know who the voice actors are. I would be willing to put money on Eldron being voiced by Alec Newman, most known in our little circle as Sebastian, although here he sounds a lot closer to his voice from Gerd Harrelson, or the guy trying to summon Hakon in the Jaws of Hakon DLC. Alexia also sounds super familiar, and I just feel like I've heard her in Dragon Age as an NPC, but at this time I kind of can't quite place it, but if you have a suggestion, please comment below. Now, because these sound like BioWare veterans, I did have a chat with BioWare's community manager Jay about this in hopes we could get even like some raw line or script from the Before Ride movie, but sadly I was told that BioWare tends to hire out for its VO recording, and they didn't have anything from the ride or who even recorded it. In full disclosure, I did not contact Alec Newman or his manager about this, as I'm just going to assume that the lines would have been bundled with anything Dragon Age, and he might not even have known that his stuff was showing at a theme park in Dubai and now the UK for years. Now, one thing you may have noticed, remember how I said that there was like heat and other cooling effects in the ride? That was false info. Now, the guy who I talked to that gave me that did have some correct stuff, so I don't think he was lying, I just think he misremembered. But yeah, so far that's the only thing I have found from the previous video to be a load of shit. So yeah, that's the update. The Dragon Age ride is back, and in a weird half Dragon Age, but really trying not to be version. I've already gotten messages and linked to posts about Dragon Age fans that have been on this new version, and I love every one of them. So hey, if you find yourself in the area, drop by and tell me what you think. Maybe give the Inquisitor helm like a good head of pat from me, and like bonus points if you and your friends show up in a Dragon Age cosplay. Send me pictures. And that, dear patrons, is all that we know of The Guardian, the vaguely, legally distinct, totally not Dragon Age ride. Do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at Gildathon on Twitter or send a PM to user Gillanon on Reddit. Duress all.